on BBC World News.
Talking Movies is your backstage pass to the world of film. We'll discover who's been making waves on the film festival circuit and throughout award season. From blockbusters to art house cinema, we'll spotlight the brilliant and unique voices bringing their stories to the big screen. We'll also pay tribute to movie greats of the past and look to the stars of tomorrow. So join me, Tom Brooke, and the rest of the Talking Movies team on BBC World News.
Now on BBC World News, the latest business news from across the globe. World Business Report.
China sets its lowest growth target for more than 3 decades as it looks to bounce back from the pandemic blues. And is Foxconn swapping China for India? The company behind Apple's iPhones is about to go on a huge hiring spree in the south of the country. Hello and a very warm welcome. You're with World Business Report with me, Sally Bundock. And we start with focusing on China because it's currently holding its annual 2-day National People's Congress and has set out its economic forecast for the year. Premier Li Keqiang told a packed audience in Beijing that the government hoped to achieve modest economic growth for around 5% this year. The figure is in line with most analysts' predictions, and last year successive strict lockdowns slowed China's growth, with the official numbers coming through at 3% for 2022, which is this is way below the government's target of 5.5% and its slowest growth for decades. Well, I talked to Louise Liu, who's senior economist at Oxford Economics, and she says she doesn't expect a quick turnaround for China's economy.
Going forward, China won't be a big driver of global growth anymore. And what that means domestically for China is that, in the past, as you said, we've enjoyed growth that are sort of in the double digits. And a lot of that is driven by investment, is driven by exports. And going forward, those two wouldn't be as much a growth driver for China anymore. So what that means domestically is that China would have to find its own new growth drivers going forward. And hopefully that comes from consumption, which is what the government expects and hopes that the growth transition model will point to.
Now, when it comes to the leadership in China, there was a big shake-up expected in the team that's handling the economy. Much more control from the centre. Is that what we've seen so far?
Yes, I think a lot of signs are pointing towards the fact that not just people changes, but also institutional reforms that do point to more centralized, more party control. And of course, we will get more details on some of these reforms towards the end of this week when the NPC officially ends. But I think signs are pointing towards the fact that we might see a further consolidation in the financial system. We might see a further consolidation in different ministries, as well as some of these top government posts may be well filled by, perceived allies of President Xi.
We've already seen quite strict controls of the tech sector in China. Is that set to continue?
I think to the extent that it doesn't undermine growth, the government will be looking at easing some of these policies that it's put in place over the last few years. I think it would be mindful of the fact that some of these heavy-handed crackdowns have actually impacted growth over the last few years. So I think going forward, we are likely to see more targeted easing, perhaps looking at supporting some of these smaller companies that could contribute to the country's self-sufficiency in the areas of technology, while controlling or at least governing some of these bigger monopolistic tech companies.
There from Oxford Economics. Well, let's stay with China, because a company that's potentially looking to move some of its operations out of China is Foxconn. According to reports, the Taiwanese firm, which makes Apple's iPhones, is considering moving some of its production to India. Our India business correspondent Arunadai Mukherjee has the details.
Well, the Foxconn chairman was in India last week, and he met the Indian Prime Minister as well as several other senior political leaders discussing prospects for the company here in the country. And there were also reports that Foxconn was considering investing nearly $700 million in India. But a statement came in from Foxconn over the weekend in which they said that they didn't have anything binding or definitive yet as far as new investments were concerned. But they did say that internal negotiations and inquiries were on. We did, however, get a confirmation of sorts from one of the big state leaders in India, the state of Karnataka's head, the chief minister, putting out a tweet on Friday saying that they had allocated and earmarked a massive plot of land for Foxconn next to the airport in Bengaluru city, and also said that this entire plan is likely to generate nearly 100,000 jobs. So that was one significant aspect that we did get to know. But Foxconn has been looking to increase its footprint here in the country. It already manufactures iPhones in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu, and it's looking to increase its footprint because Apple at the moment in India only has a market share of just about 4%. But Chinese smartphones, which are more affordable, have been dominating the Indian market. So this is being seen as yet another attempt to try and increase its entire reach here in the country.
Arunade Mukherjee there. Now, twins, arguably not that common. Twins who are business partners, well, that is even rarer still. So we've been catching up with these two Dutch sisters who've started a drinks business in the UK, who reckon twins make a unique and powerful combination in business. So let's take a look at their combined venture.
Doing business as twins is a very powerful thing. I think it's such a great thing to have your sister as a co-founder because your highs are so much higher and the lows are so much less low. Because if somebody is a bit down or stressed at work, then the other one is always the optimistic one, and there's always one that has the glass a bit more fuller. We have a really special emotional bond, which makes working together very easy and very efficient. For example, in meetings, we know each other inside out, so we kind of know what we're thinking. Even as little kids, we always dreamt and talked about having our own business together with the two of us, and I couldn't be more gladder, and our parents couldn't be more proud that we actually did so.
A dynamic duo, that's for sure. So we'll just squeeze in some other business stories. One of Credit Suisse's biggest shareholders has sold its entire stake in the Swiss bank. Harris Associates told the Financial Times they're concerned about the future of the franchise following large outflows from its wealth management division. The Saudi National Bank is now the largest shareholder in Credit Suisse. Toblerone is to remove the Matterhorn mountain peak from its packaging when some of the chocolate's production is moved from Switzerland to Slovakia. US firm Mondelez said the image of the mountain will be replaced by a more generic summit. Strict rules have applied about Swiss national symbols since 2017. So those are some of the top business stories. We have a lot more for you on our website, so do take a look at the business page there. But for now, from me, it's goodbye.